All right, as we move into pillar 7 here, we're going to talk about preventing burnout and sustaining growth. So I just briefly touched on some of the things that you can do with like maintaining habits for physical and mental well-being. It's more physical that I talked about, but some of the mental things you can do because this job can be stressful. There's a lot of pressure. It can be self-inflicted pressure or pressure from outside. People's sources, stuff like that. People have work-life balance that they want to families. And so we're going to talk about some of the things that I've been doing in the last year or two to help myself physically and also help myself mentally, but also being able to spend the time at work that I need and also spend the time at home that I need. I have a family that I want to be a part of and be with. I don't want to spend all my time at work. I've done that. And that's part of the reason why you're here too. You want to be able to be at work as little as possible, make as much money as possible, and then also be at home and be with your family and enjoying your PTO and enjoying your time off. So first off, I already touched on the physical stuff. Protect your body. Use your PPE. Save your body parts like your backs and your elbows, your shoulders, you're leaning over cars. Lift the car up. You're lifting something. Lift with your legs. Like it's been beaten to a dead horse at this point, but I'm only going to tell you that it's only going to it's going to help you in the long run. I go to the gym every day. I'm not saying you have to, but like walking and just doing a little bit of light exercise may seem a little silly, but if you're overweight and out of shape, it's going to put more strain on your body. It's going to be harder to, move around faster. I mean, see me power walking through the dang parking lot. I'm ready to get that next ticket. Like, hey, I'm ready. Be texting my group leader right as I'm dropping that car off, or text him before I'm leaving. Hey, I'm ready for the next ticket. Got to be ready for that next ticket. Can't be doing that if you're like, I'm back. So body health, mental health. It's about finding something that makes you happy that you can use to put yourself in a better mood when things get tough. Talked about music, talked about podcasts, reading books, always being in a growth mindset. I think it's very important to stay up to date with like knowledge and stuff outside of what you know, like always growing and learning from other people who have different mindsets than you. And having mindsets in other areas is important. That meaning like you may not agree with everyone, but if you're understanding what someone's saying and you're trying to understand their point of view, you might learn something from them on how to grow and how to be better. Kind of talk about that a little bit later, but find something that makes you happy that you can do when you're having a bad day or you're having a bad week. When you go home, you need to be able to disconnect from work. Like, don't bring work home with you. If you're in a bad mood, like communicating that. If it's just you and you're living by yourself, play some video games, go hang out with some friends, but like avoid like talking about work and just like disconnect. And if you hate your job so much where you don't want to go to work, like maybe it's time to find a new job or a new dealership or shop to work at. And it's a tough conversation, but you're in control of that. If you're in a situation financially where you can't do that, like you and I can have a conversation about it. But put yourself in a situation where, or put yourself in the environment where you can go home and you can disconnect from work. You don't, bring that negative energy home with you, and you're in the right headspace. And finding those things, writing them down. Something I've started doing recently is journaling. It sounds so silly, I know, but writing some of those things down that just are on your mind on a daily basis and kind of, looking back at the week or the month and just kind of reviewing them. And you might notice some patterns that you didn't notice before. Like, really, man, Bob said this one thing to me and it just rubbed me the wrong way. You might notice that Bob says something bad to you every week. Well, maybe you need to avoid Bob. Okay? Maybe, you're not getting along with your manager, and maybe you need to take the time to have a conversation with them and be like, hey, like, I'm feeling a little disconnected. I feel like maybe you don't like me, or maybe we're not on the same page. Like, as little confrontational as possible. But if you're feeling like all these outside influences are causing pressure on you and you're not knowing why, and you're just feeling kind of funny about it, and then you've written it down and you see a pattern, you can address those issues and just not realize, like, why do I feel bad every day when the same things are making you feel bad? Maybe it's time to address those same things. If your drive to work bothers you every morning and you write that down, unless you need, like, those are like big things that you're in control of, where you live and where you work. But at the end of the day, you're here to make money and you're here to be better than you were yesterday. And sometimes that change happens in some bigger ways. So I would say definitely, like I said, keep that journal and write some things down. You'll be surprised what it helps you and how it helps your mentality. Go to the gym, listen to podcasts. I've noticed listening to podcasts has really helped me recently. Not every day. Sometimes I need some music in my life, or sometimes I just need some quiet to be dwelling in my own thoughts, which is not always the best. But if you want some recommendations on books or podcasts, I'm going to have a recommendation list in the Slack channel that we can all kind of reference and suggest to each other on things, what you're looking for, what you're looking to find out. I mean, there's plenty of like headspace stuff that I've learned over the last few years, but just by listening to podcasts and just hearing what other people have to say, and has really helped me put my best foot forward. And sometimes just realize that if you're feeling a certain way about somebody that's talking to you, like most of the time, they've got their own stuff going on. And for you to take that personally and get worked up about it and put yourself in a bad mentality because of somebody else, you need to be able to work through that. You need to be able to talk about it. And we need to be able to communicate with our group of technicians that are trying to be better and like isolate those negative people in our lives. Don't put yourself in situations with negative people. Like, don't talk to those people. Don't be in a group chat with those people. Don't associate yourself with those people unless you absolutely have to. And if you have to, then do it in a minimal sense. Don't set yourself up for failure.